Now, Trump actually answered some questions, I think, today, so we'll see what he's actually saying. I've got to say, we still have a situation where somebody in the White House hates this fucker, and the still frame, or Forbes, that they're grabbing, they're trying to, and again, I don't think he takes a good picture, but they're certainly not doing him any favors by making him look this shitty. Here we go. He hosts the Juventus team in the Oval Office.
Thank you very much. We have a great team behind us. Juventus of Italy.
Juventus.
And a friend of mine is the owner of the team. He's a fantastic business person, a young guy, and I think it's got the longest string of ownership of just about any sports franchise, but it does have the record in soccer. It's John Elkman. I think you know John Elkman is...
Sorry, who?
John Elkman. I think you know John Elkman is...
I know who? He's a friend of yours? Really good friend of yours? You know this dude? His name is what?
John Elkman. I think you know John Elkman is...
I don't know. I'm not familiar with either of these gentlemen.
In soccer, it's John Elkman. I think you know John Elkman is...
Hold on. Oh, I don't have a nut warning on this one. I'm sorry, I haven't set that up. I probably should, but hold on. Yeah, here we go. Sorry. There we go. Nut warning. It's all cockeyed. Sorry, my bad. I have to rearrange it for this screen. But at the very least, we gotta pass this along. So people, if you were caught off guard by the appearance of Trump's nunt, I apologize. It's wrong, and I'll do better next time to make sure that you're warned when it will make an appearance. You can just kind of assume it, but I think it's still
a man that has done a fantastic job in the automobile.
It's two men, actually.
Industry, comes from a lineage.
Thanks, Marcia. It is a great live stream. It happens to be the greatest live stream in the history of live streams. I'm Hal Sparks, and this is Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide. Gleam effect.
Of winners, and you have Johnny Infantino, as you know, and he's going to have the World Cup here. We have a game tonight. The game is where is it, over in D.C., the stadium?
Here, yeah, Holyfield.
And it's totally sold out, I hope.
Of course, yeah.
Okay, good. Well, and you have two great American players on this team. And would you just, where are you by American players?
Yeah.
Fantastic, so good luck.
Thank you.
I hope you're going to be the two best players on the field. Okay? Well, I just thought you might want to ask questions.
He was like, he totally was like caught off by the fact it's the black guys.
About the World Cup or the game tonight, but anything about the World Cup?
No, it is not sold out. They can't give away tickets. Yeah, I know. It's soccer.
Would be great, and Johnny's right here. So, anybody have any questions?
Why would they have any questions for him?
And I hope you like the. Well, I'm a little. He's a friend of mine. It's hard to go against.
Which one is Elkin or Elkman?
To be honest with you, but they have a good team. Who are you playing tonight?
We're playing against the Emirati team.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
That's
strong.
Good. Well, they spend a lot of money, right? They pay a lot of money. Yeah, it's probably. Is it a strong team? Good team tonight? Yeah,
All teams are good. It's the best teams in the world. We're here in America.
Right, Johnny? You think?
Best teams in the world are here.
That's what. Well, we raised the American flag for you guys today.
Well,
It's
quite a historic day.
Looks nice out there, doesn't it? Beautiful.
He put two flagpoles on either side of the Capitol or the White House building because he thought we needed them for something.
Even you agree, right? I think so. Do you agree? No. Most of you.
He just saw something in one of the buildings and he thought there should be a flagpole on either side of it. It's very weird.
Agree. So, do you have any questions, please?
Do you know the latest on the evacuations out of Israel, Mr. President? Have
No.
you been updated on that?
No, we're having a meeting in an hour. Have a meeting
Yeah, they're evacuations. They'll hold.
downstairs in one.
They'll wait.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. President, on Iran, if regime change does happen there, if the regime falls, do you have a plan for what you think would happen
I
there?
have a plan for everything, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I have a plan for everything. I'm not going to tell you what that plan is because it doesn't exist. But
Got a ways to go. They should have made the deal. I had a great deal for them. They should have made that.
what was that deal? How was that different from Obama's deal? What was the deal? Oh, I'm just kidding. Of course, there was no deal.
deal. 60 days we talked about it, and in the end,
Here's the deal: totally dismantle. Fuck off. That was the deal. What do you guys give? Nothing. You can do that, or we're gonna bomb you.
they decided not to do it, and now they wish they did it, and they want to meet. But
Thank you, Catherine. That's true. I think it's important that our next president can sing very well. I think Obama did okay, but you know, he's kind of standard baritone, and was a little, I think, tepid in his singing, and he could have been more forceful. He's got a good voice. You got to sell it.
it's, it's a little late to meet, but they want to meet, and they want to come to the White House. They'll even come to the White House. So we'll see. I may do that, but it's
You're not bringing the fucking Ayatollah or the president of Iran to the White House
a shame.
now. You're not doing it. They would be stupid to come. Their plane would get shot out of the fucking air.
It wasn't. Could have been done the easy way.
What happened to Trump's hair? He got a haircut.
Do you think the regime there could fall?
Sure, anything could happen, right? Of that.
Well, I mean, I think the chances of a society-ending meteorite hitting there or the return of the plagues from the Bible is fairly slim. So no, not anything.
Sure, that could happen. Yeah,
Mr.
please.
President, the Senate Judiciary Committee is holding a hearing on who exactly was running the White House under Joe Biden. Who do you think that was?
I think the auto pen ran the White House. You know, we have an auto pen president before me.
And you used the auto pen to sign all the pardons for the Jan 6ers.
I think it's one of the greatest scandals in the history of this country. One of the
Of course you do, because you're bilking the American taxpayer right now and funding all these programs for your buddies and bringing your buddies' investment teams into the White House to give them free promotion or some shit or whatever, and they buy a bunch of your crypto and allow you to do this.
biggest scandals. He wasn't making a decision. He was never for open borders where people came in from all over the world, from prisons
Oh, then I guess you owe him an apology.
and gangs and drug dealers and all of that. The mentally insane. He was never for that. He was never
Is there a physically insane?
for open borders, and he was never for, if you think, he was never for transgender for everybody, or men playing in women's sports.
These are his 3 callbacks, by the way. He does this all the time.
You know, he was never for that. Have you ever had women? Could a woman make your team, fellas? Tell me. You think?
Leave them out of it.
No, you're being nice. What do you think? Think a woman could make the team? General managers, what do you think?
Difficult.
You don't say it. Close.
We have a very good women's team now.
You do have, right? But they should be playing with women, right?
Maybe just leave them the fuck out of it. Of course, they showed up and your buddy brought them in there. So suck it up, guys. You're standing behind this guy. It's more than just a photo op.
You know, it's one of those things. One of those things. See, they're very diplomatic.
As you're making your decision on Iran, obviously there's been a change from when you were pursuing a diplomatic negotiation.
Yeah.
Now you seem very open to the idea of potentially taking U.S. action. Obviously, you're not going to tell us that. Can you walk us through what contributed to that change, how you got to where you are in making your decision now?
Well, I think it started the first night. I mean, you know, that first night was devastating.
You mean the election night? Sure.
And it really knocked the one side off, as you know. It was a devastating evening, day. And it pretty much proceeded that way. I have a meeting in the war room in a little while.
Yeah, it can wait. He's got to meet with a soccer team owned by a friend of his.
Situation room, as some people call it.
Everybody calls it that.
So we're going to meet. We're going to see. We're in the midst of it's a terrible thing. I hate to say.
I suppose there's a point where the situation room becomes the war room because it's war is the actual situation in this. I think, right? Let's see.
Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room.
Right.
I hate to see all that death. So much death and destruction.
Yeah, the death.
But death primarily is what I
Yeah, the destruction. I'm on the fence about that.
hate to see.
Does that mean you haven't made a decision yet on what to do? Or
I have ideas as to what to do, but I haven't made a final. I like to make the final decision 1 second before it's due, you know, because things change. I mean, especially with war, things change with war.
Great. I think that makes us all feel a lot better, that these are impulse decisions based on when he thinks the last thing has happened. Right before the decision has to be made, When the fuck is that? That's not a thing, right? There's always something right after that moment that could change that moment. What he means is he waits till everybody around him is all on board because they're all acting the same way and saying, we got to do this right now. If we're going to do it, holy shit, this is bad. We got to do it. And he'll go, yeah, do that. And then it's their fucking fault. That's what he means.
It can go from one extreme to the other. War is very bad. There was no reason for this to be a war. There was no reason for Russia, Ukraine.
I agree. Russia should have fucked off to start with.
Wars there was no reason for. You know? You look right up there. I don't know. See the Declaration of Independence that
Oh dear.
say. I wonder if the Civil War always seemed to me maybe that could have been solved without.
Holy shit. Okay, first of all, the Declaration of Independence wasn't a result of the Civil War, you fucking old fart. Secondly, no. We weren't going to negotiate on slavery.
Losing 600,000 plus people.
Yeah, you don't think they tried? They passed laws. They did all kinds of stuff. The abolitionists pushed for it for a very long time, even down there. Some of them got killed while they were pushing abolitionism in the South. What a fucking... yeah, he actually said that. This isn't, by the way, Mad Mac, this is not the first time he's actually said this. Remember this? He said this before.
So, a lot of... it's very sad to see. It's very sad to see what's happening. But with that being said, I would say right now, Israel, from the standpoint of winning a war, is doing pretty well. Yeah, please.
You have no idea. There's salvos back and forth. And yes, their attacks have been particularly effective. But Iran doesn't care about civilian casualties. So they're just going to bomb the whole fucking country at some point. So no.
President, in your meeting today with
Name bug adjustment needed. Sorry. Oh, sorry. Did it move over? Sorry about that. I thought I fixed this last time. Weep. Thank you.
the Chief of Staff of the Pakistani Army, did you talk about Iran? Did that come up? Is there anything you can share from that meeting?
Yeah, well, they know Iran very well, better than most.
What are they, golf?
And
Okay, thank you.
they're not happy about anything. It's not that they're bad with Israel. They know them both, actually, but they probably, maybe they know Iran better. But they see what's going on, and he agreed with me. Reason I had him here, I wanted to thank him for not going into the war.
Yeah. Oh, so Rob Glenn says, so Biden's actions 2 decades ago caused Putin to invade Ukraine. Yeah. There's a time fold in maggotdom.
Just, ending the war. And I want to thank, as you know, Prime Minister Modi just left, just a little while ago, just left. And we're working a trade deal with India. We're working a trade deal with Pakistan. And they were both here, but I was with Modi a few weeks ago. He was here, actually. But now we speak to him, and I'm so happy. There was a deal that 2 smart people, plus, they have people on their staff too, but 2 smart people, 2 very smart people decided not to keep going with that war. That could have been a nuclear war. Those are 2 nuclear powers, big ones, big nuclear powers. And they decided not. So I was
Yeah, he's starting to get that Biden age rasp.
honored to meet him today.
And if I can speak with sir.
You can tell he's over it right now. I will say also that there's a mix of thought about this dipshit currently. And one of the ideas is that he doesn't have to run again, so he doesn't give a shit. He can just go for it and do whatever he wants to do. And the other is, once he's out of there, he's no longer president and no longer has the power to protect himself or his family from any reciprocity that might come from, or attacks that might come from Democrats in office or foreign leaders who have whatever he did while he was in office, they blame him for it, right? So there's an upside and a downside to him no longer being president or this being his final term. And as much as he jokes about a 3rd term, isn't happening. He doesn't have he's too old, he's too worn down. It's not going to fucking happen. Again, this would be a situation where they would, in theory, run him like Biden, and Vance would pull a Harris, what they were saying was going to happen. He'll run, he'll win, he'll step down in the next year, and then the other guy will take over. This is the storyline that they're also pushing around. But he doesn't trust Vance right now, and he doesn't trust all those guys who hooked him up with Elon Musk. The Diet Coke guy, that's Walt Nada. He's just off camera. Walt is always an eye line of Trump in these situations.
And for anyone who may want to answer, how
Unless he's, I don't know, hosing down yesterday's diaper because Trump likes to reuse them because they're broken in.
has the travel bans from certain countries affected fans maybe coming in for the games, or is that not a consideration?
Johnny,
at all?
go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's not a concern for us, for the games now in the Club World Cup.
Yeah, gee, there's no travel ban on Italy, dummy.
Everything has been done in a very smooth way. We have an excellent collaboration, of course, with the President, but with the task force in particular. For next year, the World Cup, we have one more year to work, and the learnings that we have this year with the Club World Cup, which is historic, I say this to all the Americans.
Also, most of the countries that they're talking about don't have world-class teams anyways, right? I mean, maybe one of them has a team that might be in it, but none of them are in the fucking World Cup next year.
Americans, because it's the first
That's how they think they're going to avoid this problem.
ever Club World Cup, and it's played in the United States of America. So the learnings we'll have for this will apply them next year.
And they're largely sold out, so I don't know. I don't think he's too worried about the travel ban. He doesn't know what the travel ban is, I don't think. Johnny, tell me what
Why'd you fucking ask him about it,
the
stupid?
travel ban is. He doesn't know what it is. He's largely sold out. Like tonight is totally. I've had friends, they heard about this
Nope.
meeting. They said, can you give me tickets? I don't know if I can get tickets. He won't give them to
Well,
me.
we can speak
Maybe
about it.
John will give them to me. Yeah, please.
Which John?
Two questions, if I could. One about Iran and then one domestically. With Iran, what's your message to Americans, both here and abroad, who are not only concerned about the U.S. potentially getting involved in another conflict in the Middle East, but worry about the potential for retaliation here at home?
Yeah, well, I don't want to get involved either, but I've been saying for 20 years, maybe longer, that
That Iran can't have a nuclear bomb, and it's final.
Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. I've been saying it for a long time. And I think they were a few weeks away from having one. And they had to sign a document. I think they wish they signed it now. It was a fair deal. And now it's a harder thing to sign, you know. It's a lot of water over the dam. But, you know, it's very, I say it very simply. Iran can't have a nuclear weapon. Too much
Yes, everything about you is simple.
devastation. And they'd use it. You know, I believe they'd use it. Others won't use it, but I believe they'd use it. So that's it.
Thank you, LD.
It's very simple as far as I'm concerned. They can't have a nuclear weapon.
And then domestically, Missouri Senator Josh Hawley came out this week as the lead sponsor of a bill to raise the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour. It stands out because he's a Republican.
Yeah. You think the cuts are happening in his states? What the hell? By the way, I don't even know that we addressed that. Hold on. This is going to catch him off guard. So, hold on. That's interesting that Josh Hawley did that, right? Co-sponsored by Democratic Senator Peter Welch of Vermont, they're going to raise the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour. The bill, titled Higher Wages for American Workers Act, would double it. Hawley has co-sponsored it. Here you go. This is, let me open this up for you. This is, yeah, we didn't even get a chance because there's so much shit going on, a chance to cover this. This is what he's talking about. This is why the 50, whoops, I got to shrink this down so you can read it. This is why a $15 minimum wage is getting love from some Republicans. A bill to raise the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour from $7.25 is back, but you might be surprised who's leading the charge. Republican Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri. Remember when I told you guys that if once Republicans actually have real power and they have to produce something and they can't just be, you know, they can't just yell no or shut shit down, and that's enough. Once they actually have to govern, they start sounding a lot like Democrats, right? Shifts in state and local minimum wages, however, as well as the broader economy, show how Hawley's involvement makes sense, both for his home state and for the country. Experts say a conservative advocate sponsoring the bill could help the chances of finally getting a federal wage hike for the first time in 16 years. Given the fact that it's a Republican leading this legislation, there's certainly a different tone here. And the House will never fucking pass this through, but whatever. 31 states already require businesses to pay most workers above the federal 725, well above, by the way, including Missouri. That might be the reason why Hawley's behind the bill. Come January 1st, Missouri's minimum wage will rise to $15 an hour. He was unable to stop the state from doing it, so by making every other state compete, he won't lose traffic to states. So if you're going to move your business out because it's too expensive to work in Missouri, you're not going to move, and I don't know what Kansas's is, for example. Let's see. Shall we take a look at that? This might explain Kansas state minimum wage. Yeah, here's why. Minimum wage in Kansas is $7.25 an hour. That's why he's doing it. Yeah, $7.25. That's because if you have a business that's in Kansas City, Kansas, or Kansas City, Missouri, and it's just a matter of driving across the state line, all those fast food restaurants and shit that are on the Kansas City, Missouri side will move into the Kansas City, Kansas side. That's why. This is because his own state circumvented him. He's trying to keep that from basically flight. He's trying to stop the business flight from the state. So don't think he suddenly got a conscience. For the record, just letting you know, okay?
Still 20 states that have it at $7.25. Do you support the legislation or the idea?
Well, I haven't seen it. I'd have to speak to Josh. He's a very good friend of mine. That's interesting that Josh did that. I'm going to have to think about that one. Some people.
By the way, the reason I gave you is exactly why. That's why he gives a shit. That's the only reason he gives a shit. It's the only reason Josh Hawley is doing this is because he buttresses up against Kansas. Kansas is $7.25. The business will fly to Kansas, and people can just drive right across the border in a lot of these places because you have these tri-state and bi-state areas where a city is split between the two. You're going to see people move to the cheaper side of the tracks. That's it. It's the only reason he cares.
People agree with it. Some people don't. Some people say it really turns away business. Restaurants close, and a lot of things happen. Other people agree. I'd have to speak to Josh. He's a good guy.
Mr. President, for the Iran, the possibility of an Iran deal, is the destruction or the dismantling of the Fordow nuclear enrichment center, is that a prerequisite for a deal? Is that a red line for you?
No, it's just something that people talk about having. We're the
He has no idea what he's talking about.
only ones that have the capability to do it, but that doesn't mean I'm going to do it at all. Yeah, we have the best military equipment in the world. You see that with this fight. We have planes that are undetectable, flying around like,
Yeah, even the pilots can't find them.
Nobody.
Two of our airplanes that fell off the aircraft carriers in the last couple of months, nobody can see them. They're because the ocean's so deep. But
He's able to see him stealth. You guys want to be stealthy tonight? You can be.
oh my God, this is so fucking ham-handed. He's. Why are you making these people stand here? Why wouldn't you just let this guy? I think they're gonna. He seems to think sometimes that if he brings in people that aren't involved in politics and make them stand there, that the reporters won't ask him tough questions because it's rude to the people that he's making stand there. Sorry, the world keeps turning, motherfucker.
They'll never lose, right? But
what if the ball's invisible? Then what?
these are incredible planes and weapons. We have the best weapons in the world, by far.
Yeah, nobody gives. You didn't design them. People are concerned about the judgment.
Nobody close, and certain countries take advantage of that. Israel has incredible weaponry, so we'll see what happens. I've been asked about it by everybody, but I haven't made a decision.
Because you can't process it mentally.
You talked earlier today about having daily conversations with Prime Minister Netanyahu.
Yeah.
How have those
That's not true, by the way.
conversations weighed on you in terms of getting more involved? He's been lobbying for the U.S. to get more involved. Has that had an impact in kind of your evolution, sir?
Look, we talk, and I'd like to see everything done. I would have preferred having
I'd like to see everything done as well. I hate when stuff is undercooked.
just an agreement, a strong agreement, verifiable agreement. But it was such a shame. They were so close. Iran was very close to signing what would have been a very good agreement for
Apparently not.
them. And maybe Could still happen, I guess. You know, they do want to come and see us. They want to see me in the White House. That's a big statement. But
right. You gonna pat him down first?
it's very late.
Is it enough of a statement to hold off getting?
We're going to see what happens. Look, we're going to see what.
I think that's kind of true no matter who you are. I think we as the public are going to see what happens. Right? You are the president, unfortunately.
Happens. Ending it as soon as you can would be.
No. Ending it as soon as you can might be a nuclear bomb, dummy. That's not an answer. I hate that shit. We need to get this over with quickly. Nuh-uh. That's not an answer.
It would be good.
Have you closed the door on meeting with them?
No.
Okay, so it's still open to them coming here in your
Yeah,
eyes.
I mean, they asked if they could come. We'll see if that happens. It's not that
We'll see if that happens. It's your decision, fuckwad.
easy for them to come. They can't get out. You know,
They can't get through airport security.
they're in Iran.
I think is that right? Is that you think? You think the leaders of Iran are in Iran? Is that I don't know. We're gonna have to check that.
And in one case, the guy wanted to come so badly, but he can't get out because there's bombs dropping all over the place.
Yeah, it's so inconvenient.
Have you seen the
Sorry, there's bombs dropping all over the place. Dude can't get out of the country. I don't know. Take a bus. I mean, there's a lot of traffic, but people seem to be getting out of there. Good Lord.
Tucker Carlson and Senator Ted Cruz interview? It seems like this issue on whether or not the United States should strike is kind of dividing a lot of your supporters.
No, my supporters are for me. My
supporters are for me. Well, I guess then anybody who's not for you is no longer your supporter. Cool. Okay, explain that shit then. Good Lord.
are America first. They make America great again. My supporters
Also, other phrases and words that are programmed into the mainframe.
don't want to see Iran have a nuclear weapon. Tucker's a nice guy. He called and apologized the other day
Oh, do you think that's... Yeah, did he? Do you think he meant it?
because he thought he said things that were a little bit too strong, and I appreciated that. And Ted
I think he's getting him confused with Elon Musk.
Cruz is a nice guy. I mean, he's been with me for a long time. I'd say once the race was over, he's been with me ever since, right? But
Yes, he's a weakling and always folds.
very simple. If they think that it's okay for Iran to have a nuclear weapon, then they should oppose me. But nobody thinks it's okay. People that
Yeah, it's about how you get there.
I don't want to fight either. I'm not looking to fight. But if it's a choice between fighting and them having a nuclear weapon, you have to do what you have to do. Maybe we won't have to fight. Don't forget, we haven't been fighting.
Sure. I mean, we've been defending, which is a form of fighting, but...
We add a certain amount of genius to everything, but we haven't been fighting at all. Israel's done a very good job of that. But we'll see what happens. The bottom line is they can't have nuclear. And if I can't imagine that Ted Cruz said it's okay for Iran to have nuclear, including Tucker. I don't think Tucker says it's okay. The problem is then they get themselves into a thing. They don't want them to have nuclear, but then they say, well, we don't want to fight. Well, you're going to have to make a choice because it's possible that you're going to have to fight for them not to have nuclear.
Sure. Thanks. I'm so glad we have somebody that can break down these issues into the simplest possible terms. They're so complex. You might have to fight if they don't dismantle their nukes willingly. If that's your goal, you're either going to have to get them to do it because they want to or because you make them. Really, you don't say.
And it's interesting because I did ask Tucker. I said, well, are you okay with nuclear weapons being in the hands of Iran?
And he went, oh!
And he said,
no, of course not. Of course not. But Putin said, I have to tell you, or the check won't clear.
Sort of didn't like that. He didn't want to really, but he sort of didn't like that. And I said, well, if it's okay with you, then you and I do have a difference. But it's really not okay with him. Therefore, you may have to fight, and maybe it'll end, and maybe it'll end very quickly.
Yes, and maybe it won't. Hashtag Iraq.
But there's no way that you can allow, whether you have to fight or not, you can allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon because the entire world will blow up. Not going to let.
Yes. If Iran gets a nuclear weapon, they will blow up the whole world.
That happened.
Mr. President, I'm wondering, you had a bit of a row with President Emmanuel Macron of France the other day at the G7, it sounded like.
He's a nice guy. Look, he said I was going back home to make a ceasefire. Not a ceasefire. We're long beyond ceasefire. And I said, why do you say that? Why would you say ceasefire? It's a bad term to use. Because a ceasefire means like everything's going swimmingly, we'll take a little time off. It's not.
What? Who the fuck thinks that's what ceasefire means? Sorry, listen to this. This is Donald Trump's definition of the prerequisites for a ceasefire.
And I said, why do you say that? Why would you say ceasefire? It's a bad term to use. Because a ceasefire means like everything's going swimmingly, we'll take a little time off. It's not. We're not looking.
What the fuck? Who? All right, okay. Hey, this is mental illness. This is just. It couldn't be that he's just this bad a judge of reality. I'm kidding. It totally is.
For a ceasefire, we're looking for a total, complete victory. Again, you know what the victory is.
No, I don't. No, how do you prove that they don't have nukes in the next 6 weeks, or the next 2 weeks, or the next 8 days, or 24 hours for that matter? So total victory means a bombing campaign. Good fuck, what the hell? Good Lord.
No nuclear weapon.
Right, but how do you prove it in a short order when this is actually happening? Shit.
Mr. President.
I started doing my Boston Brian hand thrust. That's how fucked up this is. Love you, Brian. He's doing a show right now. I'll kick over to him when I'm done.
So I thought it was a very badly worded statement by him, and obviously I let him know that.
On the southern border, you've had
Badly worded. And you let him know with a equally badly worded statement. Nice.
record low numbers for the month of May, 95 apprehensions, 0 releases, compared to
And yet there's still just as much fentanyl in the country. Qu'est-ce que fuck?
that of the previous administration exactly a year ago, more than 60,000 releases. What do you attribute that success to?
Me just being awesome.
Like you. Who are you with?
Turning Point USA, sir.
Well, they're very good.
Turning Point USA. It's not even a news organization. It's Charlie Kirk's organization.
Turning Point. Charlie, very good. That's what I call a good question, fellas. 1 out of 10, John. 1 out of 10, but that's a really good question. No, we had
How did you get so awesome? Who the fuck doesn't want that? Okay, deny, go away. Thank you.
record good numbers on the border. And people are
And yet the same amount of drugs in the country. Curious.
coming in, but they have to come in legally. Like some of these guys behind me, they have to come in legally. And if they come in legally, we want them. They have to say they love America, they love our country. And if they can't say that, we don't want them. Thank you very much. Very nice.
Thank you for making my evening so much better.
Thank you very much.
I'm so lonely. Okay, so that was that.